Hello and welcome to the show. My name's Relevant. This is Do All the Things. It is one thing to take your video card apart to chuck it underwater, but it's another thing to try and put it back together again, especially when it's something you did 4 years ago and there were modifications involved and now you have to reverse all that. It's going to be a bit of a puzzle. Stay tuned. You know, they have all sorts of comprehensive instructions on how to take these things apart and then put the water block on and whatnot. But, you know, they don't exactly publish instructions on how to take it back apart and put the stock cooler on. So, and then I did modifications to it. Like, for instance, you see this card here has this, you know, sticky. It has this is the RGB lead, right? This card had that, but what I did was I soldered it to the connector that used to run the heatsink shroud on the stock cooler so that it was a lot clean of a look. And I don't know why they don't do this stock. This water block was made specifically for this card, no other card. But instead of just having the lead go right to the card that already has an RGB output, they have this big long lead to go to generic RGB. So the card in question is this Strix. This is a Sapphire Vega 64. I got it with the water block on it. I did take it apart, reseat it and stuff like that. I had the stock cooler for this. Buddy gave me the stock cooler when I bought it because I got it used. I can't find it. I searched everywhere quite a bit. So this is going to be stuck underwater for now. Now I just happen to have this scale here kicking around from one of the last projects I was working on. I was weighing things. I'm curious what these guys weigh while I have it here. 963 grams, not quite a kilogram. 34 ounces or 2 pounds, 2 ounces. What about Monsieur Strix? 2 pounds, 15 ounces, 15.5 ounces. That's almost 3 pounds. So that's a total of 1,300 milliliters. Okay, skip past that. 1,345 grams. That's 1.3 kilos, buds. 47 ounces. Hold on here. 1,345 milliliters, 1,345 grams. You mean to tell me a gram is 1 milliliter of water? I think I knew that, but forgot. And I'm today's years old when I'm remembering again. So, Mr. Strix, this is the guy in question. And silly EK, you have a separate back plate. Back plate you have to buy separately because it's not compatible in this case with the stock back plate. So you had to get this back plate. I do believe that those thermal pads go with the back plate and not the stock cooler. And those thermal pads is like there's goo in here. They produced goo. Should I clean that goo off? Does that goo even clean off? You know, you don't want to mess with certain stuff too much. We just have a bunch of little SMDs here, so that's pretty safe to me. Like, if I knock one of those off, I can stick it back on. Ooh, there's some tinier ones in there you gotta watch out for. There's one technique I use when I'm removing glue or goo. Get a toothbrush out, lay down a paper towel. I don't know if that was very effective. This doesn't seem to be like your typical flux or thermal goo. Whatever the frick those pads are made out of. I gotta start getting some baggies on standby here, of which I have lots of, because, you know, every time you buy components from Modular DigiKey, they'll often put each individual component in its own baggie. Imagine that, buying a 5-pack of resistors, and each individual resistor has its own baggie. Single-use plastic much? These screws all appear to be the same size. Make sure you label it. You know what? I should check my boxes. I did both kept original boxes. Planning for this. We got a board and nothing else in here. Okay. Let us check the other original box. I might have consolidated some of the things. Because something I also often keep is the back stickies for the thermal pads. No, it doesn't look like the back stickies are in here. I might have them on stoosh somewhere. If I do, I don't know where. That's going to be a tricky part. Storing this stuff when I'm no longer using it. Well, let's move on here. So I'm sure this is self-explanatory. We got 6, 7. That looks like a missing screw. There's no screw there. Was there supposed to be a screw there? Doesn't look like it. Suggests there's not supposed to be a screw here either. I wonder if I've taken this apart since I put it together. If I did some maintenance on it at one point. These screws also all appear to be about the same size. That's good. This is going smoothly. Let's label another bag here. Cooler. I wonder if this just happened to fit something else. No, it's impossible. I think... How's it feel? Oh, it feels good, except for the wire. Oh, that doesn't look very nice right there. What happened here? Ah, looks like Gamers Nexus did this. Is there a way to situate this nicer, sir? How long has it always been like this? That looks crappy. We got this one here. Well, if I sell this cooler, I'm gonna be sure to include the scrap bits of spare that I have. I think this goes right here. Ugh, wants to stick to me more than the surface here. All right, let's get this cleaned up. Got a little bit of dust here. Gonna have to detail on this block. I think before this block goes into storage, it might be pragmatic to pull it apart. We have this discoloration here, and I think that's a little bit of the nickel. We must have had some blow by here. Water leaked from one port to the other directly, and that wore off some of the nickel plating. All right, card. I wonder what thermal goo I used here. Man, there's a lot of it. There's so much, I probably could have like just left it, stuck the existing cooler on. Man, this is a mess. I'm gonna have to stick this thing in the dishwasher. I don't necessarily recommend what I'm doing here. It's like, yeah, I can kind of sweep it out of the crevices, but how am I gonna pick it up after? It's like we'll literally have to run it under friggin' water after. We just have splatterings everywhere now. Oh, is it ever? Okay, yeah, maybe don't do this. It just splattered. Like it wet the goo and then splattered it everywhere. Yeah, I'm at the point of no return now. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time cleaning glue out from between these. First day with your mouth, bud. You know, you dilute it enough, you're eventually gonna melt it all. All right, now, how do we repair on the periphery here? Might be making a mess of this box too, buds. All right, now that that's adequately dealt with in a way that I think is gonna be not perfect, but good enough. Chip, HBM. I think that's how it breaks out. We can now invest into opening this box. It's a box in a box. It's a box unboxing. Oh, get out of there. Get out of there. Oh boy. Oh, I never peeled the back of this car. That's funny. What else didn't I do here? An adapter, because if you need this, you probably don't have enough power. A cover for the thinger, and they gave us some LTT straps, and then the hole plugs. Okay, good to know. So, this is where we're gonna start running into our first problems. This thing right here. What did we do to prep this for storage? Oh look, it's the little squishy pads that we need for the other one. Okay. We got this here, like, you see what I mean by modded on it? And then the LED assembly. Okay, so we have to do some prep here. Here's the LED assembly, and maybe that's the stock wire. And then surprisingly easy to find here, never used, is the fan adapter cable. So here's the philosophy here. This was an additional EK part you could get. And it had basically a header that would plug on to a generic fan header on a video card, and then you could plug a fan into it. So if you're doing water cooling, you could connect the fans on your rad to the video card so the video card could control those fans. And that's how I initially planned to do this. But I did not like the fan curves that the card had. It was just, you know, they were kind of panic mode. For a rad, they were kind of panic mode. But the thing is, the generic header they put on here was not compatible with the header that was on the card. So I took, like, they had the same, they're the same style, took the same kind of pins. So I basically did a repin job where I took the stock header off, took the aftermarket header off, put it on here. Now I gotta put that back on there. And then here is LED lighting for this fan shroud. It goes in here somewhere. And I took that out and made it part of an RGB mod in my computer. It was lighting up the reservoir. So now I gotta put this back to stock, back to normal. So that means I have to do a switcheroo here. How did this come out again? I think we gotta undo these Allens. They look like they've been undone before. Back when I liked to use more torque. All right, pulling this RGB shroud off. Hoity hoy. Here, just a generic 12 volt strip across the bottom here. It's so tiny. I might use a bit of flux on this just to help things along. Also, how are we gonna get this to stay put for us? Yeah, I think some flux will do this good. Okay, I should be able to pull this all off in one fell swoop. Yeah, and this thing has bigger contacts. That's gonna look like hell when I try to put it back onto here. I wanna button this up first, right? I'm gonna need a little bit more control over this. Well, this'll do nicely. So this RGB thing is damaged to such a capacity it doesn't tell you. Where's the little pointer bit? There's supposed to be a little pointer telling you which one's the positive. I'm gonna assume it's this side here. We're gonna score on a new one. That looks sweet. because these wires aren't color coded, so you have to kind of assume. Also maybe need to clean these puppers up a bit. Now how precision can I strip on them? Okay, that's not bad. So now I have to tin on them. It's going to be a challenge in its own right. Now I have to get them back on there. Remembering which side's 12 volts, or this is 12 volt RGB. So we got to line that score mark on the connector, follow the wire, and that has to go onto the 12 volt or the plus pin, which is labeled here. I already have flux on this, so we're gonna freshen up these guys. Now, if we can just hold this all steady together, there's a good chance we can get it back together. Surprising how much better I've got at soldering small things than I was 4 years ago. But then I wasn't building small circuits 4 years ago. And I can't remember when I started watching Louis Rossmann and was like, oh, that's how you solder small things. You need some flux. I also didn't have nice little tools like this, nice little tweezers. Not a lot of need for precision soldering in repairing guitars and amps. Like, not of this precision. Also had a tighter budget in my youth, less money coming in from doing these repairs, so you were making do with what you got. All right, so the Kula RGB is back to stock now. We'll go ahead and remount this lighting shroud and continue on. All right, so the best part of this situation is that I didn't pay attention when I took this off. So I don't exactly know which side is which, but I could tell by the shape of it, and I know plus was on the outside, that this is most likely plus here. I'm gonna mark it in black because that's, you know, ironic. But I'm gonna say that's the plus side. That's the plus side. So now we gotta get that onto this thing that looks ugly as frig. And I do believe a little bit of flux will freshen up this existing solder globs. Oh, yeah, see it's reversed here. Flip it around backwards. I think there's some ROS compliant solder here. All right, that's back on there. Polish off the flux. Easier said than done. So much nasty schmoo in there. This needs goo gone is what it needs. But that should be good to go now. We have reversed officially our mods that we've done here. All right, so we got this sticky here. We're gonna pull that off, and then we can sticky it here. It'd be nice to know where the other sticky went. So what? That's all the cooling this attached? Hold on, we're forgetting to put in the crystals, bud. This goes here. Oh yeah, snaps right in. Oh, this thing. Okay, hold on. We still have to do this thing. So I scribbled this down, which should tell me what I need to know. That would have been the other one. Each fan, I labeled each fan, but the key term is this here. That's going to be our pin out for this. That means we also have to unpin out this. These are relatively easy though. You just need the tiniest screwdriver and or pin to pull these out. Just these little plastic pieces you lift here. It looks like I need a pin tool to do it. Yeah, here we go. You know what you find out when you get more into this technical stuff? We know a Molex connector as being those 4-pole dealies on old power supplies. But Molex is a brand name and they make a lot of the connectors. The fan headers, those are Molex. This is probably Molex. Okay, I don't know where the stock piece for this is. I'm sure it'll turn up one day. This guy, okay, so we have this diagram facing downwards. It's the complete backwards opposite. Like I drew these lines to represent these lines. It says blue has to go here. Okay, yeah, it does make sense. It's just trying to figure out the orientation of these connectors to try to figure out like which way they slot in there. Blue, then green. Wait, no, we have 2 greens. Damn it! Now mind you, those greens are probably all the same. Like the greens do the same function, and even if we get them backwards, they'll probably still be fine. I think this green goes in this hole though. And I wrote it differently, Gren and green. It's almost like there was some reason for that. Blue, green, then yellow, then black, then another green, and then a red. All right, that should be good to go now. Okay, well, we're gonna find out. I think worst case scenario, what happens is, looking at this diagram, K yellow, so that's gonna be ground, yellow's gonna be the voltage, green is going to be the clock signal, and then black's gonna be PWM. So basically what happens is 2 different fans are gonna be reporting their RPM signals to the card, and it just won't necessarily be getting the correct one. All 4 fans have a green wire. It's just a case of looking underneath here to see how they're actually wired up, which I don't feel like doing because I don't feel like I need to take this thing apart to get it mounted to the card. I'm hoping everything's downhill from here. We got 2 screws here, 1 there and 1 there, but I don't think we're ready yet. See, this is where it becomes a puzzle. I feel like the card needs to sandwich into this assembly first. before we bolt on the cooler. So let's inspect this assembly. I did that good thing where we put all the screws back where they go. I'm taking them off and laying them out around this shroud, roughly in the same positions. I'm expecting to see some form of, a thermal pad there. And then we just have 4 additional screws. Or no, 5. There's another one hanging out down here. Oh, these ones are tight, bud. I wish screwing was faster. It does not appear that any part of this back plate contacts the card. You almost wonder if you can hybrid put that back plate with the air cooler. But I don't think it's possible because of how it bolts on. So we have an RGB connector here, and that just sits there and there's no thermal situations. And then I think these 5 screws just go back into place. Oh, I still feel like this isn't clean enough, Seth. This looks pretty good. So I guess that thermal pad's for whatever those extra VRM. That's probably RAM VRM there. Oh, I forgot these screws here on the end. All right, now it should fit. Yes. And we have all these screws around the periphery that should go on right about now, independent of the cooler. All right, let's just spend the next 20 minutes spinning here. Now the screws are all loosely on there. They're not tightened yet. I'm gonna put these end ones in here. That should give us a baseline fitment. It's a nice reinforcing bracket. It bolts onto here, and then it supports the weight all throughout this framework. All right, we'll snug on these end screws. So with how I'm sliding this around on the table, it's kind of good that I didn't do the peeling. All right, now I think we're good. We'll go do one over here because we'll have leverage now. Do these end ones, and then that will maintain alignment on all the other ones. Careful not to torque these up too much. Okay, I'm pretty sure we're good now. This is coming along nicely. I guess we just slapped the cooler on it. Okay, so I'm gonna cheap out with the Noctua, or am I gonna use the good stuff, the Thermal Grizz? I'm gonna go with Noctua because I'm pretty sure it's good enough. And sometimes they're all like, spread it around. Forget. One last bit of surface prep here. Is it possible to, wipe? Okay, no. I'm pretty sure I can connect these after the fact. It's just a case of slapping this down on there now. Ooh, we got alignment pull pieces here. That's nice. Let's just take our spider. Oh, that one cross-threaded. There we go. And like, how tight do I put these on? Like, do I do them till they float? Do I do it to the bottom out? I'm assuming it's a bottom out, but not reefing hard on them. All right, then just 2 last screws right here. Why do those feel loose? Are there supposed to be springs on these? Uh-oh. Yeah, we have a problem. These are not tight to the board. Oh, no. Pretty sure these are the screws that go there. I don't see why they wouldn't be. Oh, but they look like they need, springs to go in there. Like these ones had springs. I didn't pull those springs off and use them for another project, did I? I don't think I would do that for this. Oh boy. Houston, you have some splaining to do. Looks like Gamers Nexus saves the day. They have a teardown of this card. And if we watch right here, he's pulled the screws out. It's like, it's so fast. I can't tell if there's little springs or anything on it. But if we fast forward a little bit, you see them here and there's no springs on them. Okay, so let's look at this again. Let's look at this again. And if Steve made a video about this already, why do you care for mine? That's definitely, they stop snug. No, there's definitely a bunch of space there, and I can lift on this. Like, what's the idea here? Like, can I get you a look down in there? You can barely see it. It's right down in there. I can see the screw heads hovering above the PCB. I can gently pull on it. It doesn't want to move a lot, but it does move. I don't like that. I want those to put, a little bit of pressure. So what are my options here? Maybe if I dig around the scrap bin, I got some springs I could possibly use. But what card did these come off of, and will I regret it? I feel like these must have came off one of my Pegatron cards that I water cooled, or I think I had one that I scrapped because it didn't work. Yeah, there's exactly 4 of these. These almost look like the same thread of screw. Yeah, they are. Total just, retrofit. Those springs are captive, they're not coming off. What other options do we have? Here's a baggie of spare screws. As I recall, when I bought that water block, it came with a whack of spare screws, and this is what's left over. And we have these nylon washers here. Will they go through? They'll fit. How many do we need to get the tension we want? 2 actually looks about right. Look at us, improving on Asus's design. Okay, so I'm gonna look down the side here. You're not gonna be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm looking. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. It puts, you know, those nylons are just a touch thicker than the gap, the two of them. And it does put an appropriate amount of tension on there. That you know, couldn't fit any better. So that's a problem solved. Now it's just a question to all these puppers down here. So this must have been bent to accommodate what I was doing before. I gotta reform this. They also have external fan connectors that don't have the same curve as the stock fans. So they're like super useful. Plug that on there, and then the way this is curving almost feels like it's not correct. But plug that on there. This thing should be ready to go now. It's just a case of testing it. Okay, I got a couple ideas on how to do this, but for now, I am going to focus on getting this stored. Right, so we want to maintain those thermal pads. I'm just going to grab chunks of clean clamshell. Let's not use all of it because I need this for making train windows. And I haven't bought this kind of salad in a while, so a bit of surface prep here. Let me just stick that on there. And that should maintain it. Where's the butt? It's kind of nice to put stuff back in its original boxes, even though I did it backwards. Look at that. Little back plate. And just slip it in there. Oh yeah, look at that. So how about the cooler? The cooler, which debatably needs a bit of a cleanup. Now mind you, I'm sure some of you are curious as to the damage. I know I am. Let's see if I pull this apart real quick. We can take a look. Taking these things apart is a bit of a risk because when you screw them back together, it's like you're screwing into the metal, so that's not the huge risk. Torquing it up, you could crack the acrylic, or you could find out that your O-ring's done, and once you take it apart, it's not going back together leak-free again. Uh-oh, there's one hiding underneath the shroud. We gotta pull this darn shroud off again. Oh boy, there's a bunch here. They're just cracking. Fortunately, these bolts are all mostly the same. These ones actually look a bit shorter. Actually, they're not the same. Yeah, these ones across the bottom are a bit shorter. Something's hanging up. Oh, that's funny what's hanging up. Never have I ever broken the seal of approval. Okay, so that O-ring looks healthy. There is just the slightest bit of what looks like corrosion here. That's funny. Do I want to pop this O-ring out? Looks like we have a jet plate. Why is there lint in here? That must have slightly, like, there must have just been just a touch of it got into the water while I was filling it or something, and then it just, you know, or maybe it's doing this. This is not the same toothbrush that we used to clean the schmoo. That's funny. Other than that, just tiny little bit of lint. We're clean in here. Like, considering I'm using homebrew coolant, I think I've done well. Like, we're just gonna give this a wipe down just to clean the existing dust off from under here. I think I should unseat this O-ring carefully. Weird how it feels like it's stuck in there. Yeah, that's weird. There's just the slightest hint of crud around the O-ring. It's like, I don't know, calcification. Like it wanted to leak just slightly out this one corner. So that's what happens, even with a good sealed system. Sometimes you get just the touch bit of leak, and it's so slow, it literally evaporates while it's leaking. And as the consequence, you get this little bit of buildup that almost looks like corrosion, but it's not. It's called calcification. Let's see if we can carefully clean up this O-ring. It almost feels like they just get one big O-ring of roughly the right length, and they just kind of pound it in there. Still doesn't look good. Oh, this is cleaner than some water blocks I've seen Jay pull apart. Oh, there's a hump there. Do I have this backwards? Yeah, I think I had it backwards. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now let's just double check here. Yeah, there's a little bit of wear right there. All right, slap her back down. Oh, I see what happened here. One of these holes goes right through, and that fits a certain one. And then these other ones bottom out, and they need shorter ones. Kind of weird they do that way. Okay, they're all loosely in there. We look like our alignment is pretty good. Like the screws don't look completely centered. It's like we have some room to shift this around a bit. And not really. These are all loose, but it's not moving. Can't be sure till you actually fit it on a card, eh? I think it's good. Snug them up. Don't over torque them. If you need more than just your Allen key like this, probably over torquing them. The O-ring looks adequately compressed. Let's just get the RGB shroud back on. This is just holding this into place, screwing to plastic. This needs like no torque whatsoever. All right. Now I don't seem to have anything resembling a bag for this that came in the box. Okay, I got a big blue bag. Only other thing left to do is to pull the plug. I'm gonna put that with the other water block because that one's more likely to see water. Oh, I forgot to put in the crystals. Oh, you little... Okay, let's do that all over again. BRB. You know, now that I'm thinking of it, there's a little bit too much moisture still trapped in here from all the alcohol that I sprayed down. Don't really want to leave alcohol festering in acrylic because they don't get along. I'll use it to clean the acrylic, you know. You don't want to leave it sticking around in there. So alcohol, just do one of these, it'll dry up in no time. All right, she's back together with the jet plate installed. Now we're gonna shove it in a bag. Hopefully just keep it somewhat preserved. Oh, this bag is just too short to seal up, or is it? Can we? All right, squeeze the air out, go like that, good enough. Box, 2 foamies. We're gonna say bottom foamy. Oh, it doesn't fit nice with this bag, eh? Top foamy, instructions, screws. You know, it would be nice if the back plate fit in here. It probably would if we don't use the original box, but hold on. I think instructions and screws go here. How come it doesn't fit together as nice as when you get it? All right, ready for storage. Let's move on to testing. All right, please forgive me for not setting up a formal shoot with all the necessary cameras and lighting. But about the only thing I could think to do to test this thing proper was to cram it in my main system, and pump almost didn't fit. EVGA 1600 fortunately has all the power we need. But hey, let us do one of these and see if it's gonna work. Did I get the RGB wrong? The fans are spinning. I'm not seeing RGB though. Or no, it's glowing. It's glowing dim blue. If it doesn't do anything other than dim blue, we might have a problem. I suppose it's possible I could get the wiring backwards and just like maybe something works just a little bit just to say. But then no, the polarity would be wrong. I don't think it would work at all. Okay, here, this dim blue in there, just pay attention. I'm busting out the Aura Sync real quick. Oh, it's not showing up here. What is this? Okay, the device manager is seeing it. Okay, either I messed up that RGB, it's gonna have to be rechecked, or we're just not communicating with it right now. Almost wonder if I should unplug on it for safekeeping. Now, the $1 million question is if I go and unplug on one of my monitors here, because that one monitor shows up as 2 monitors, and we'll plug that down into Vega World. Bing, bada bang! It did indeed pop up there. We're gonna figure out how smart OBS is. Identify 3, we need to configure that. Oh, no, it's right, it just needs to be set to this. Can OBS go and see the other side? No, it can't. It cannot capture that other monitor currently. All right, I can manually set it to capture the other monitor, so that's progress. Can we select what screen we're gonna use here, bud? We want GPU 2. No, it went on the wrong one. Oh, let's look at this wonderfully glared out representation of what I'm trying to do here. How do I set it to the other freaking GPU, bud? Oh, GPU Shark 64, already running cooler, fan speed 8%. Oh, you know what I probably have to do? I probably have to go into display settings, set 3 as my main display, have all my friggin' archives, derp out, archons, now run it. Oh, 15 FPS, bud. Hold on. Is OBS telling me it's not capturing this? It's like invisible. It is capturing that screen. That's hilarious. Or we're gonna have to turn off the MSAA. Oh, there we go, 50 frames per second. So yeah, OBS isn't capturing it. We're gonna go ahead and turn this off. And I think it's safe to say that this card is working. I'm gonna stress test it for a little while just to make sure that it's uber good to go. I might try doing some editing experiments later. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this little puzzle game that you watched me play. Hopefully it was somewhat entertaining. Stay tuned for more.